Let's get into it. First of all, NC State. Wow. Surprising. They're here. They've won 9 straight games. Absolutely Cinderella story. They should not have beaten Virginia in the ACC tournament. Needed some magic to just get by that game. And yet here they are, Jim. They're sitting in the national title game against Purdue. The Boilermakers, the 1 seed, redemption tour from losing to Fairleigh Dickinson last year as the 1 seed, 116 upset. Yikes. Can they pull a Virginia here? They're favored by 9 points right now at MGM. Jim, your thoughts on NC State Purdue?
Yeah, the ultimate topic of discussion here is America's sweetheart, DJ Burns, taking on America's villain, Zach Edey. I don't agree with those assessments. I'm sorry, folks. I actually enjoy watching Zach Edey play. I know people hate it, but I don't know. I can't help it. It's subjective. I think this is going to be tough for Burns because throughout this tournament, he's had strength advantages in a lot of 1v1 matchups. Marquette's the only team that really doubled him. He cut them apart, had 7 assists. I think Purdue is going to say, good luck. Here's Zach Edey. And even Trey Kaufman-Renn is like not a tiny little pipsqueak, but the Edey matchup is the one where he has no strength advantage. Even if he's kind of doing his spin back and forth, trying to get to that left hand, Edey's got length and intelligence in terms of how he goes and walls up vertically. He's not going to reach over and try to block. He's just going to make that shot super, super difficult. Now, Matt Burns has the touch. He can potentially score over the top of Edey, even somebody as big as him. But I think it takes away a go-to option for NC State, makes it tougher for them to score. On the other end, Edey is likely to get Burns in foul trouble, unfortunately, for NC State fans. I'm kind of tilting towards Purdue, Matt, but the magic carpet ride that NC State is on has me a little nervous betting the full game. I think it's some of the narrower focuses in terms of in terms of props that I think I'm going to end up looking at.
Yeah, I think the only way NC State competes in this game or wins is if their guards are white hot. DJ Horne continues his scorcher. Probably get some Michael O'Connell, timely shots, Marcel, Jaden Taylor. They're going to need those guys today because you're not going to post up Zach Edey 1v1, right? That's been kind of in the Burns cheat code all the way through this tournament. Now, to your point, we saw him make some of those mid-range floaters, 8 to 10 feet. I think that's the only way he's going to really score against Edey. Far less efficient that way. And if you're doing that, you're not drilling the gravitational pull of the defense where you can spray it to shooters. So NC State's going to need to find different sources of offense, in my opinion. Especially if Purdue is smart and attacks Burnsy and ball screens, which Duke was very kind of reluctant to do, which was dumb. Like we've seen against teams that have crucified NC State all year, they just basically run hard off ball screens with Burns on there and Burns is on an island. But Duke kind of came off them really methodically and Burns was there and could slide his feet. I think Purdue
Marquette did it, and Marquette got a bunch of open threes. They just didn't make them. Yeah.
We need to avoid the variance monster, I guess, there if you're Purdue. But hey, Kyle, we saw those other guards for Purdue look a little dicey last game. Like they kind of too much of, hey, Zach Edey, bail us out, carry us. They're going to need a little bit of lift, I think, in this game, especially with how the bigs of NC State have kind of emerged up front, Middlebrooks and your boy Mo Diarra as well.
Yeah, Purdue did not shoot well against Tennessee. The regression kind of came for Purdue, or at least the variance came for Purdue. They are now the number 2 3-point percentage team in the country after going into that game number 1. I don't see that happening twice. NC State has been very fortunate with teams missing against them. Man, if Purdue's getting the same looks they got against Tennessee, I'll bet on Purdue to hit those shots. Personally, I think Edey's going to destroy Burns. I know that's not a popular take, but look at the size, man. Burns, 6'9", 275. Yeah, he usually has the weight edge, or he's too quick for the plotting big. Edey's 7'4", 300 pounds. He's always in position. You can't spin around him either. He is wider than you. I just do not see Edey having any trouble offensively against Burns or Middlebrooks, even though Middlebrooks, certainly a great hustle guy. And I don't really see Edey having trouble on the defensive end. I agree with Jim that this could be a foul trouble game for Burns. Purdue, a glass edge significantly. Can NC State keep Edey off the boards in general? I'm not sure. We saw Kevin Keats play 1-3-1 at UNCW. He hasn't done it much at NC State this season, but they will extend pressure. Perhaps that's their greatest hope, Jim, extending pressure and trying to bother the guards a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's generally a very good move. Braden Smith is going to have to be able to exploit it. And Kai, that leads into my favorite player prop bet. That is Braden Smith over 6.5 assists. Yeah. That is the line right now at BetMGM. It is -125, so it is juiced to the over. I still love it though. He has been brilliant dishing the ball all postseason. I know this probably won't be like a super high possession game given how NC State has played, but you just go back through Smith's game log. His assist number 7, 15, 6. The only time he's gone under in the past like 8. 7, 15, 6, 10, 10, 8, 10. He's been a complete maestro. He plays, as long as he stays out of foul trouble, which I think he should, will play 35, 40 minutes in this game. He's got the giant target and Edey to go to down low. And like you said, Kai, I think they shoot the ball a little better from the perimeter. Mm-hmm. That helps him with assist numbers as well. Very, very into that angle. Matt, also just one other small little note. I mentioned the magic carpet ride, to say in air quotes, so that NC State is on. Shot quality is not law. It is not Bible, but it has NC State losing 5 of their last 6, and they have won all 6. They have been fortunate in terms of shooting variance, I will say. It's not the only reason they've won. It is not the only reason. I think it's the only reason they won against Marquette personally. But in like the Duke game, they controlled that game. Oakland, they were not the worst team. They were the better team against Texas Tech, of course. But even in like the North Carolina game in the ACC tournament, Virginia, they win because a slop 40-footer by Michael O'Connell goes in. I think NC State isn't as good as they have looked, Matthew. So again, I do lean Purdue, and my favorite player prop is Braden Smith over 6.5 assists minus 125.
A slight lean to Purdue. I think the thing about NC State that made them undervalued coming in this tournament, they were one of the best effective possession ratio teams. Like we talked about this, like they don't turn it over. They turn you over a little bit. They're pretty good on the glass on both ends. Like their shot volume has always been, it's been far above where their actual overall analytic ranking has been, because they hadn't shot the ball really well and they were sort of schematically in disarray. And it finally just took Keats a while to turn on the light bulb of like, oh yeah, I have this weapon in Burns. I have these other big guys I've just basically ignored. And they got Jack Clark back, which has been a huge, not Jack Clark. They got Modiara going, which has been a huge boon. So I do think there's some real uptick to it, but yeah, it's obviously been a run of insanity proportions that it's probably not sustainable here. 9's a big number to lay with how I'm just not super into the Purdue guards the way they're playing right now.
Yeah, I don't want to lay it. Kai, NC State has given up double-digit offensive rebounds every game this tournament. Yes. They gave up double digits offensive rebounds to North Carolina in the ACC final. Edey is going to be all over the glass. Purdue attacks the boards on that. And I think they get 15 plus offensive boards. Yeah. Again, all this to say, I like Purdue. The number makes me queasy.
Number's big. And it's funny though, NC State has gone up 35 spots in KenPom since the end of the regular season. This number would be 15 if it was the end of the regular season. So it's crazy. I think the number, I agree, is a little bit high, 8.5 at some places out there. I am considering. It is up to 9.5 in certain places as well. So obviously shop around. Yeah, I'm leaning towards Purdue, but boy, it's hard to bet against NC State right now with what they've got going. Maybe Matt Painter is the answer for the Wolfpack.